Today we're going to be taking a look at the Grace Evangelical Free Church site, going through different things that can help you learn how to use your site. So we'll start by logging in. So you go to the URL /wp-admin, and it'll take you here where you can put in your username and and the password that we give you to go along with that. And then we'll log in and we'll be in the back end of the site. And so I'm just going to go down this left-hand side, the items in the black over here, and go through each thing and show you kind of how all of them work. So we'll start with updates. And this is all the plugins that are used to build your site in the WordPress version. So if you ever want to update these, you can click select all and then select update plugins. We regularly update plugins on all of the sites that we host and support. So you don't ever have to worry about that because we'll be regularly going through your site and updating that. But if you ever log in and want to update that, you can. The next thing is posts, and I don't think that you guys are using posts. Yeah, that's just a test post. So that would be like if you guys ever wanted to start a blog, which you could do, but you might want to just reach out to us if that ever becomes something that you're interested in. So moving on, Accordion Pro. I'm trying to think I don't think that we're using this staff accordion. No, we're not. So don't worry about this one. The one you want to worry about is responsive accordion. So let's talk about this. This is used in at least one place on your site, I think. I'm not sure if this one is being used. No, it's not. This one is, though. So on your missions page, this is used to make this look a little bit cleaner than if we just had only the information. So it opens and closes like an accordion. So that's where it gets that name. So if you ever end up wanting to change any of these items, and this is the only place that you're using this accordion, you would come in here, and so each accordion has a title. So we've kind of got different areas here, and then all of the text below it is in this bottom part. And so to edit it, you'll want to click on it, and you'll want to click this use this editor here. And it looks a little different here on the text side, so you want to look at the visual side here, and this is where you would make any changes. So you can change the size of any of the text through here. You can bold, italicize, bullet point anything. You can align it differently. You can hyperlink to outside sites like we have here, so the email. So how that works is if I wanted to hyperlink something, I would say blog, and then, or whatever the URL is, I want to copy it. So I'm going to copy that and paste it there, and then click apply, and now that's a link. So that's how you would hyperlink anything. And then you would click OK, and then you would click update over here to make any changes. And it looks like the little icon over here is this little laptop. And so if you ever wanted to change that little icon, that's changed through here, but you would want to change it on every single one so that you made sure that you had the same thing. And if you ever wanted to add more missions, then you would just say add new accordion. You've got the little laptop there. You could add the title here, and then you would click on that editor thing again, and then go to the visual side to use and to type in how it would look normally to you without the text side with the coding and all of that. So those are the main things. And if you want to delete one, you just hit the little trash can. And we've kind of got the formatting set up on all that. So if you ever want to add or subtract anything, this is where all that information is located. So that's so you know. So we'll move on to events. We've got a few events in here. If you ever want to add a new event, then you would click add new here, or you can click it here. So click add new, and then you would give your event a title here, whatever event, and then you would say, you give it a date. So if it's, July 20th at 6:45 p.m., and you can say there's no end time, and then it will get rid of that. Or you could say it's an all-day event. If it goes over several days, then I can do it like that. And then you want to make sure that we're in the right time zone. You can make the event repeat if you want. So you can make it weekly, monthly, on the first Wednesday of every month. And then you can give it, I want this to end on this date. Or weekly on every Wednesday. It's pretty self-explanatory, and then you click apply. And then and you can add any event location cost tickets. You can add any of that. Usually you're probably not going to. And then as you scroll down, you can add information here in the same way. This all works the same way as what I showed you on that accordion. And everything will kind of look just like this, where you can change bold, italicize, alignment, hyperlink, anything you can add here. So go back to all events. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And now it's in this little trash folder where I can and this will be the same way with anything, with pages, anything you delete will end up in a trash folder. You can either delete it permanently or restore it. And if I wanted to edit any of my events, I would just go to all events and click on this, and I can change the date, the time, any of this information. And this is the permalink, so if I open that link, then I can see what it would look like. If someone were to click on that event, this is what it all looks like, just so I can know and make sure it looks okay. And those things are just automatically added to that calendar once you do that. So that's all you really need to know there. Doubt that you would do anything much more technical with that. So those are the main functions. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think you'll find it to be pretty simple. So moving on to media, this is just where all your photos, PDFs, anything that we've uploaded to the site would be located. So you can view them here, you can delete them from here, you can change the size, you can get the URL there, you can edit or crop the image. But also, if you ever need to add a photo any place on the site, there will be a little button that says add media. But yeah, you can upload, you can add new media here, add new here. You can drag the files here or select them here. So let's move on to forms. Look at these. You have a few different. So we'll just go over kind of the basic functions of a form and how they work, so that you can apply that to any form that you might want to use. So you've got first name, phone number, email, and dates here. So all of these were added through these fields over here. So I can add name, date, time. I can add radio buttons. So you would just click it, and then it's going to show up down here. And you can drag these and rearrange them however you want. And let's say I click on this and I want to change this. So obviously I want this to say, what type of event? Whatever you think, and you can add more options, you can delete options, and I can change that label. I can make it a required field. I can duplicate this. I can delete them. And phone number, Can change the format of the phone number if you needed to. And on date, you can do the same thing. Can change date picker, date drop down, or date field. And so that would look, and it shows you how it would look. So I don't think you have anything too complicated on any of your forms right now. And then if I wanted to save those changes, I would click update. And I think that all of your forms works basically the same way. So then you can click entries over here, and that's where you would see where people had submitted a form. That's the word I was looking for, submitted. Or you can go, all of the entries will be here together if you do it like that. If you go to forms and look at each individual forms, then click the entries underneath it, then it will show you just the entries for that specific form, and that kind of keeps them separate, and that helps you a little bit. So, and then you can view those entries through here, but they will also be, so let's look at settings. Under notifications, then we're going to want to add a notification here. So the best way I can think to do this is to duplicate this. And then I'm going to go in here and then change this email from the admin email to whatever your office assistant or whoever's email you would want that to send to. We'll put it right there. Click update notification, and then every time one of those forms is submitted online, all of the contents from all the fields will be sent to whoever's email you put right there. So that's another good thing to know, that each form under settings, you want to change the notifications to notify the person that you want to receive those. So let's move on to pages. This is just going to be all the different pages here on your site with all this different information here. And these function pretty much exactly the same way everything else I've showed you so far is just it's got that same functioning where you can change the size and change whatever you want there. This is hyperlinked to an email, and so emails just have mail to with a colon like that in front of the email to make it a hyperlink directly to the email. And so if you ever wanted to edit a page, the easiest way I think for this to happen is whatever page I'm looking at, if I'm already logged in, I always open up a new window like this. So I have a window in the back end and a window on the front end so I can see. And then I click edit. And it takes me directly to that page to edit it. And I don't have to look through all of those pages to find the one I want. But if you do end up having to look through all those pages and you've got quite a few, then I can always search. So whatever this page was called, small groups, I can search and it's going to come up and then I can find it. But I just think it's easier this way, but that's up to you, however you want to do that. And this on that page you can see was a button, and that's done through this format to make it look like a button. And all it is highlighted and select button right there. And any changes you make, you want to add update. If you ever create a new responsive accordion like that one I just showed you, then that can be added through here. So wherever your cursor was, it's going to add the short code for it and just put it right there. And that's where it would show up, but we don't want to do that. If you want to add a photo onto your page, you can do that through here. select a picture and insert into the page. Then you can align it differently, click edit, change the size, anything like that if you'd like, and you'd always hit update when you're done. And I will talk about menus in just a moment. So if you ever end up adding a page, then you want to add it to your menu, I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. So moving on, comments are for if you had those enabled for like a blog or something like that, but you're not currently using that. Sermons, looks like you are uploading some sermons, so I'll show you how that works. If I want to add a new sermon, I can click add new here, or I can click add new here. And I would put the title here at the top, and then scroll down. You can choose the date that the sermon was preached, and we don't have morning and evening here, but that's what that would look like. If there's a passage, main passage that's being used, if there's a description, and then the location of the MP3, so this would be the actual sermon audio, would go here, and I would choose one of these items, use this file. And you don't need to use any of these other things. If you had a bulletin PDF that you wanted to use, you can use that. If there was one in here, I could choose that and add it. And then I would want to come over here to preachers, and whatever preacher it was, just start typing it. It'll show up, and click add. If there's a certain sermon series that you're using, you can add that there. Or if you use sermon topics or book of the Bible. And then I would just hit publish, and then it'll just show up for you. And that's all you got to do there. Pretty simple. So moving on, homepage areas. This is exactly what you would think it is, these different areas of your homepage. And we've got a few here. So the one on the very top, these are ordered through this reorder button. So the order that they are on the page is correct here. And if you ever wanted to change that, they would just be drug and dropped, however you want. So these are made here, and if you ever wanted to change anything on here, more than welcome to. The top option is a slider, and I will show you how to make these in a minute when we get further down to slider revolution. And all that is in this particular box is just going to be short code for a slider. You'll see it's just short code right there. So let's look at a different one. The one underneath that is just going to have some information and a button. So let's take a look at that real quick. Welcome. And so the way that this looks the best is usually if we just make it a white background with this as heading 1, and then everything is centered, as you can see. And then I've got this is linked to it's hyperlinked to the Who We Are page, and then it's formatted as a button. And if you scroll down, you're going to want to make sure all of this information down here is right. And so the only thing that needs to happen down here for this particular box, since we're using just white space, is that padding is checked as yes. But if you ever wanted to change the wording on here, this is where that's located. You can click update. And then the other ones have a picture in the background with some white text over it. And that's done basically the same way. So looks the same from here. This is a button, but if you'll look at this, all of this is white text. And scroll down, and we've got a file in the background this time, and we've got a color laid over the top of it, and we can change how transparent or opaque that color is through here. And then you always want to change or select that it's padded around the corners. And then we kind of change the position of the photo through these horizontal and vertical background position slider options. And so any change you would make, you would click update. So if you ever wanted to create a new homepage area, and then let me check and see if this map is in there. Yeah, So this map is created through another plugin that I will get to further down. And so right now it's just shortcode in there for the map. And so don't have to worry about that at all unless you ever change locations, and I will show you how to fix that down further. So let me just briefly let's say you wanted to add a new homepage area, which probably won't. So I want to center everything. I want to make this heading 1. I want to make this a button, and I'm going to hyperlink it to, let's use this gear, and I can choose any page on your site, an event or anything. And I want this just to be a all white section. So that's all I need to do. So I would hit publish and go into reorder, and okay, so it's right there. So I'm going to refresh and we'll be able to see how it shows up here. So there it is right there. And so let's say that I want to add a photo in the background. So remember, just scroll down here, add any picture. I can upload a picture, or I can choose one that's already there. Then I can put a color over the top of it. You can choose, whatever color you want. Change the transparency or however I feel. And click. Oh, I also want to make this text all white over the top of it. And hit update. And now let's see how this looks. So there you go. That's how that's made if you ever want to make a new one. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And that's going to end up in a little trash file right there. Let me make sure it's gone. Yes, it is. Okay, moving on. Samples, that's not anything we need to worry about. Staff members would be the next thing we want to think about here. This is where all your staff are located for this page. So if you ever want to edit one, you can just click it and change whatever needs to be changed within here. So if you need to change the name, scroll down, you can change the name or the position title, the email, the photo. And these are all categorized: pastor, elder, deacon, committees, and ministries. So that's how they end up in these different categories. So you'll just want to make sure that one of those is selected. So if I ever wanted to add a new one, you would just click add new and put in the title of whoever it was, the name, their title, email, phone number, add a staff photo, works the same way as all those other options, and then make sure you select where they go and click publish. And it should just show up and look good and look right. But that's in case, and then those are deleted the same way anything is deleted, with the little trash button underneath. And you can always get them back later if you want to do that. And then the reorder button, this would be how you would put them in order. Same way, through dragging them. But again, they're also going to be in their sections. So it's just a little confusing in how they're ordered because they're also showing in categories there. And so that is, and then just so that you know, under pages, let's look at this page. This is going to have short code here. So we've got the title of the categories in this heading 3 size, and then these pods are added through pods short code here. But then we've also got some specific, and so it would add that code to your page, and then we've got some specific code so that we have the right category name. So if you ever need to add a new category or something, you might just need more help. I'm not going to get too in depth into that right now. I think that should help you enough with staff members to keep your page looking fresh and updated correctly. So let's move on to appearance. Genesis is your theme. Don't need to worry about anything there. So appearance, we want to talk about 2 things: widgets and menus. So we'll start with widgets. So on your site, this is your header, and we've got this logo and this service times. So the image is through here, and you can see that it's linked to the home page, and we've got the size set up and it looks good. And then we've got your service times right here set up right underneath that. And again, that's set up so that it's formatted so it looks good and you don't have to worry about it. But if you ever wanted to change or if you ever end up changing your service times, this is where it's located, and you could find how to change them and click save if you ever need to change them. And this is just so that we can have pods, which is the homepage areas, and we've got your menu right here. And what else? Is there anything else you need to think about in here? Custom menu and your social media menu are located down here. And they're just located there, so don't need to worry about anything else. I'll show you how to edit those actual menus here in just a second. But that's where these items are located. If you ever wanted to add anything, you choose it over here and you select where it goes and then click add widget. But probably not going to be doing any of that. So I'll move on to menus. And we have your home top, which is obviously what's located here in this home menu, and then the social media menu down here. And if you ever add a new page, like I was mentioning before, it's going to show up here in most recent, and then you can select it and add it to the menu and then drag it wherever you want it to go. It can become a sub-menu item. It can go wherever you want it to. You can change the title of it. So if you don't want the menu item to be named the same as the page is, you can change that. And then you can also remove it. So those are moved through dragging. And I think everything here is just located in a page. If you ever wanted to add a custom link, so a link to somewhere, you can put in the link and then say, give it the text, whatever text you want it to be. Obviously, this isn't something you would actually do. But then it would show up down there, and then it would show up on your menu. And again, if you ever add anything, you're probably going to only want to add sub menu items because you're pretty full up here, so you don't have a lot of room to add more things. But that's just so you know how to add a custom link somewhere if you want to link directly to an outside site from your menu. And then you would always hit save. Then your social media menu is right here. And right now you've just got a Facebook and a contact us. And if you ever wanted to add any more social media, all you would need to do is click that custom link button, put your URL for whatever your social media is right here, and then copy and paste this and just change. Well, let me do this one. This, where it says Facebook here, to Twitter or whatever social media you want it to be, and then you would also change this one. If I can type. Click add to menu, and there it is. And I can, like I said, drag it wherever I want or remove it, and always hit save. So those are the main things you need to know there. Plugins are what we use to build your website. You're not going to need to do anything there. Users, this is where your admin will be once I create it. And once it is located here, you can come in here and change your password if you would like. Tool settings, SEO, things we're not going to talk about, things you don't really need to worry about. Duplicator is something we use to build your site, and slider revolution is the next thing we want to talk about, and that is what creates this slide here at the top, or these slides, multiple. So what we've got on your particular page is you have what is called a static layer. So after each of these slides, it just says the same thing, welcome, and it's centered, and you've just got that laying over whatever image you want. So, and then I created this slide for a special event. And how this is going to work is if you have an event up here, then you can, whatever is the first slide is not going to have the static layer on it. So the static layer is located here. So I'll click on this static layer, and if I scroll down, you can see what they are. So it says welcome. And if I want to edit that, I would click this little pencil. I can change the wording here, and I could get rid of this if I wanted to. I could delete that part if you just want it to say welcome. I can change the size of the text or the font. If you change the size of the text here, you want to make sure that the line height is the same size or bigger. You can change the weight, well, not with the current font that we're using. You always want everything to be aligned in the center and in the middle. You can drag them and move them around, but you always want them to be centered and in the middle like that. And right now they're white. You can change the color here. And so if you ever want to change what that static layer is, that's how you would do that. And if you want to see what it looks like on top of those slides, then you would select that right there, and then you can see what it looks like. And then you want to make sure on each screen size up here that everything fits within these margins and borders and looks okay, which we've done for you since we built this for you. And you always hit save anytime you make changes, and you can click preview to see what it looks like on your site before it goes live like that. So let's look at this slide that I made. So how I did this was, in the background, you would click change image, and I used a stock photo. We pay for stock photos, and I grabbed one that I thought would look okay in the background, and I grabbed a PNG file for the theme of the VBS that you're using so that it would lay over the top and look nice. And so the background is set through here. So I would choose that as my background. And then if you notice, it looks kind of like it's zooming in on that photo of the background. And that's done through this Ken Burns here. You can change this from 100 to 110, whatever you think it's going to work or look best. You can play around with that. And I made sure I used the same font so that it would look good and be the same font as your other slides. And just played around with the font size. And again, always want this to be centered, and you always want this to be the same size, these two items. And then I added, so I add layers through text. I can add text and then change the text here. And that's how I added VBS. And then that's how you find your font. Then I make this, whatever size I want it to be centered. And if I wanted to add an image like how I added this one, I come in here and choose it, and then you're going to want to hold the shift button and then keep it the same, not the same size, but you don't want to distort the image. And I can get rid of these layers in the same way. And then this one, how I made this, which turns into a button, I'll show you, is done like this. I opened this image in Photoshop so I could make sure I had the exact same colors. So I'm using the same colors from this actual image. But that you don't have to do that. That's just what I did so that this would look good. And in the background, so what you would want to do is give it a background of whatever color you choose. You would want to make sure it had some padding on each side of it, like that. Maybe more if you don't think that looks good. And then I gave it a border. And you give it whatever style you want and whatever width of the border you want. Like that. And I can change this if I want. And then I want to turn the layer hover on, and I want this to be a pointer so that when you scroll over it, it looks like a button. And see how it changes like that? That's done through this hover here. And so right now it's just going to change it to black, the font, and then no background. But if I want to, I can just make it the exact inverse, make it the exact opposite, which is what I did on here. It's just the opposite. And that would just be done the same way. So font here, I would change it to that purple color. So I want to align this to the center. There we go. That's what I want. I want to get this color, and I'm going to make the font this color. And then I'm going to make the background white. And I'm going to make the border that purple color, solid, and give it a 3. And so then it becomes just the inverse, just like that. And then how it becomes a link is you say actions, add this here, a simple link, and then you paste whatever the URL is you want that to go to. And so for this, I just made it link directly to your event. And then, like I said, you've got to go through each screen size. And once you create things, you'll have to adjust and make them smaller and hit save before moving on to each new screen size. And so I have already done that for you on this slide, but when you do that, you'll have to change the size of the font, the picture, these buttons, all those things will have to be changed. And right now it's set up so that this layer, this static layer that shows up on these slides, will not show up on whatever is the first slide. So once VBS is over, if you want to create a new event slide, you can do that. And you can either, what I would do might be helpful, is to duplicate this slide and then just mess around with it and play around with what I've already done, and you've kind of got a place to start and you don't have to start all the way over. And you can do that same thing with these slides. So just click duplicate and then go in and for instance, I can click on this slide and this is already going to have that layer over it. And if I just want to choose a new image and then click save, that's all you'd have to do is just throw a new image on there and then delete it if you want. And you can make this, you don't have to delete things. If you want to just make them invisible on your site, all you have to do is click that little red button and they will be invisible. Or the green one to make it visible. And so, yeah, right now you've got this is set up so whatever the first slide is will not have that layer on it. So if you make this one invisible and then create a new slide, then just drag it to the first place so that it doesn't have the static layer on the top there. And I also, one thing I forgot to mention is there's animation here. So I animated the movements here, and that's done through each element animation, and you can choose how you want it to look and it'll play it for you so that you can see. And then I just stagger them how I want. So I've got the wording and it's all just staggered. So this first set here is so that you can see this is how long it takes for the action to occur, and then this is when the next action begins and how long it takes for that action to occur, and then it just stays there for the rest of the time on the slide. And you can change, if you select it, then you can change the animation to be some sort of different animation, and you can make this shorter or longer if you want it to go faster or slower. And then you can say play and then watch it all happen like that. And again, always hit save and then you can preview it to make sure it looks how you want. And then once it looks how you want, you can make it live. So yeah, I think that those are the main things. And you can always reference the slides we've already created to help you remember or see how I did something here. But I think that'll help you get started. And you don't have to put movement in the slide if you don't want to. That's if you want. Moving on, I think our last thing will be WP Google Map. So you have a map for your location. You just have the one. So, manage locations. Let's look at that. I want to go in here. Let's say you want to edit this. So edit, and you can change the title. You can change your address if you guys ever move. That's how you would do that, and just change it right in there. If you want to add a second location, which I don't, that's more like if you were a business or something, but as a church, you probably aren't going to do that. if you just start typing in, so if I say add location, I give it a title, and then if I just start typing, it's gonna, whatever you start typing, it's gonna bring it up for you, and it'll auto fill in the rest of it if you ever needed to know that. And then, like I said, manage locations would be where you would edit any of these, and then manage maps would be where you would come into your area with your maps. It's taking a minute to load. So we've got this all formatted so that it looks great on your homepage. So I wouldn't change anything unless you don't like the way it looks, but you're more than welcome to. And so if you added a new location, that's going to show up right here, and then you would just select it. So we've got just your church selected there, and then the map width is 100% and the height is 500 pixels so that it fits and looks nicely there. The zoom level means like how far in or out on your city or town it is, and we've got the scroll zoom disabled and all of this formatted to look right. But you're more than welcome to change anything here. Click Save Map, and you're good to go. And so that map was added through shortcode. The shortcode is located here. And the same thing goes with sliders. The shortcode for the sliders is going to be located next to it if you ever needed to know that. And that's it. We've gone through everything. So those are basics to get you going and make sure that you can figure out how to update things on your site. And I think this should give you a really good start. But if you ever have any questions, you're more than welcome to, and please feel free to contact Megaphone and we'll help you with whatever we can. But that should get you to a place where you can update things on your own. So yeah, let us know if you need any more help.